there, my name is Megan and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing my December book haul, but before we go ahead and get on into the books, if you are not already subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button, as well as the little bell icon so you can be notified every time I post new bookish content. I post new videos every Monday, Thursday, Saturday, and sometimes other days throughout the week. Also, don't forget to check down in the description box below for links to all of my social media, my Buddy Read Discord, and my Patreon, where you can be entered into winning book giveaways. I'm going to start with my YA books first. I have 3 of them, so if you're interested in just skipping to the adult, then I'll put the timestamp down below. But the first book is Titanic by Brandon Sanderson. This is book 3 in his Skyward series, which is a YA sci-fi, and I read the first 2 books and really enjoyed them, way more than I thought I was. In the first book, we follow a main character named Spensa, and all she wants to do is become a fighter pilot. She lives on a planet that is constantly being attacked by these enemy aliens, and she wants to become a pilot because her father was a pilot, but one day he abandons like his crew and was labeled like a traitor, and she kind of wants to rebuild not only his reputation but kind of like establish her own reputation. And the first book was just so much fun, and then the second book just expanded the world way more than I was expecting. We got all of these different alien races, and we got introduced to like all the politics of this galactic empire, and the ending of book 2 was just the awesomest cliffhanger. So I'm super excited to see how Brandon Sanderson continues the series. Next is Defy the Night by Bridget Kemmerer, and I have enjoyed everything that I have read by this author. She's pretty much an auto-buy author at this point, but this is her newest fantasy series, and this is a signed edition. I didn't know or realize that it was signed. I actually bought this and like my mom just gave it to me for Christmas, but it does have her signature. I didn't realize it was signed. In this book, we follow a kingdom named Kandala, and this kingdom has been ravaged by this really awful illness, and the only cure to this illness comes from this special flower. We follow a girl named Tessa who actually goes out looking for this special flower, stealing it in order to make cures for the poor. One day she gets mixed up in some royal business and finds herself at the king's castle and starts to learn about the reasons why this cure is being withheld from certain people. I feel like there's a lot of things in this book, parallels between what we experience in our own world and what's going on in this plot, especially because of the last 2 years and dealing with a pandemic. So I'm super interested to read this at this point in time, as I would have been maybe like a couple of years ago. The next book is Vespertine by Margaret Rogerson, and this was sent to me by my friend and patron Andre, so thank you. I was not expecting this book at all. I know that you read it, so I'm really excited to read it so we can like chat about it. But Margaret Rogerson, I read 2 of her other books and enjoyed both of them. I really enjoyed An Enchantment of Ravens, which was her first ever publication. She writes really beautifully. She has great imagery, and she tends to write, or her last 2 books have been standalone fantasies, and I think this one is the first of a series, because one of the criticisms that I've experienced with her is that I feel like her books need to be longer and her worlds need to be expanded, and that her endings are just too abrupt. So I feel like the fact that she's writing a series will probably be so much better than her standalones. But in this book, we follow a girl named Artemisia, and she is training to be a Grey Nun. Basically, they prepare bodies, dead bodies, to move on into the afterlife, because if they're not prepared correctly, they can kind of come back alive and feed on humans. One day, her nunnery ends up getting attacked by these possessed soldiers, and the only way that she can combat them was to pick up this relic and wield the magic within this relic, which is a very malevolent magic, and she had no idea that she was able to do this, and the only people that can wield the magic inside of these relics are Vespertines. So she has to figure out why these soldiers attacked her nunnery, what's going on with these relics and this magic inside of her. So this one will definitely be on my priority list for 2022. The next book is Empire of the Vampire by Jay Kristoff. This was also sent to me by Andre, and thank you again. I'm currently reading this. I only have about 200 pages left, so look for a review very soon for me. But this is my first ever Jay Kristoff book, and it follows a main character named Gabriel, and Gabriel is called a silver saint, and his job is to go around killing vampires. But Gabriel is actually half vampire himself, but he doesn't identify as a vampire. He pledges his life to the god of this world and basically fighting evil. In this book, we are following Gabriel's story. He is telling his story to a vampire. He's stuck in a vampire prison. We don't know how he got there, and the vampire is interviewing him and is asking Gabriel to recount how he became so famous as a silver saint. So as the book commences, we're given 3 different plot lines, and we're having to piece together the story of Gabriel's life. I will tell you, so far it is a very bloody book, but it's a really interesting world, really interesting story, and hopefully I can finish it within the week. Next, we have The Fall of Babel by Josiah Bancroft. This is the 4th and final book in the Books of Babel quartet, and I've only read Senlin Ascends, but I absolutely loved it, and I know that I'm going to love the rest of the books in the series, so I wanted to grab all of them. But I do have a full review for Senlin Ascends. I'll go ahead and link it up in the cards if you're interested in checking it out. But it follows a kind of bookish teacher guy who is newly married, and he goes on his honeymoon to the Tower of Babel. And the Tower of Babel is like known as a tourist destination, and each level kind of has different things for tourists. And while he's there, his wife goes missing. Essentially, she gets kidnapped. So Senlin spends the entire time trying to figure out what happened to his wife, and we slowly learn more and more about the tower, who's in control of it, and what's going on and the secrets with that. And I think that the world is going to be expanded so much more. Even in book 1, Senlin was already changing as a character, so I'm super excited to finish this quartet. And I will tell you that The Fall of Babel is quite thicker than the other books, so hopefully the ending went off with a bang. Next, I got City of Stairs by Robert Jackson Bennett. This is the same author of the Founders series, or Foundryside and Shorefall, which I've read both of them and really enjoyed them. From my experience with those 2 books, Robert Jackson Bennett creates just really unique worlds and really unique magic systems. I know Foundryside had a magic system that I found super, super cool and interesting. But in this book, we follow a city named Bulakov? Yeah, Bulakov. And it used to be this crazy powerful city with the ability to conquer other places and enslave millions, until one day the protectors of this city all but vanished. And since then, the history of this city has been erased. We follow a young girl who is sent supposedly as a diplomat of Bulakov's leaders, but she is actually a spy sent to investigate a murder. As she starts to uncover the details of this murder, she learns that the gods who once possessed the city might actually not be dead, as everybody once thought, and she starts to uncover all of these secrets. So I'm excited to have another Robert Jackson Bennett book, and not only did I get the first book, but I got the next 2 books also. So I got City of Blades, which is book 2, and then I got City of Miracles, which is book 3. All of these I got at my local used bookstore, and I think together this trilogy, it's known as the Divine Cities trilogy. So I was super pumped when I saw this because it's been on my TBR, like my Goodreads TBR, for the longest time, and I just couldn't pass up picking up 3 books. And the last book I have to show you guys is Fire and Blood by George R.R. Martin. This is the prequel to the Game of Thrones series. So if any of you guys have been watching my channel for a while, you know that I am not a huge Game of Thrones person. This was given so kindly to me as a gift. And to be completely honest, I will probably let my husband read this because he has watched the TV show, loved the TV show. He hasn't read the books. I've read the first 2 books in the series, and it just wasn't for me, and I don't own them any longer. So I don't particularly see myself reading this book. I don't know. I'm on the fence. I just know how I felt about the Game of Thrones books, and I just was never going to pick up the series again. So maybe I'll let him read it, and he can tell me if he thinks I would enjoy it based on what he knows about my reading tastes. But I still wanted to share it with you guys because it was such a kind gift. Okay, you guys, that is it for my December book haul. Let me know in the comments some books that you got in the month of December, or if you've read any of these books and what you thought of them. And I will see y'all in another video soon. Goodbye!